Week 7 of the 2020 college football season could be a mostly uneventful one. Only 15 of the AP top 25 teams are playing, and 13 of them are facing unranked foes. The one exception to that rule will be a massive one, though, when number 2 Alabama hosts number 3 Georgia. Even if the rest of the slate is loaded with blowouts, that Saturday night battle is a guaranteed must-watch game. And let's be realistic, the other games won't be boring. Number 1 Clemson should destroy Georgia Tech. Number 4 Notre Dame may well do the same to Louisville. But every other ranked against unranked pairing has at least a little bit of upset potential. It feels like it's going to be one of those weeks with half a dozen upsets that ends with people sarcastically asking if we actually need to rank 25 teams on Sunday. Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday, Week 7 edition. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. And hello, what's this? Oh, Michael Bullock sighting. Hey, Michael Bullock's here. That's awesome. So,
I have arrived, my brothers.
Yes, you have. I mean, reason why I say that is because Michael Bullock hasn't been able to be on our football shows all season, but he's here tonight, and you couldn't have picked a better night, Bullock, because, we got that huge main event at the end. But nonetheless, myself, MF, and Bullock, we will guide you through the somewhat small docket here for week number 7. And it actually started last night, and it started with a big upset. The darlings of college football, Louisiana Lafayette, they lost. Yes, they lost at home to Coastal Carolina, 30-27. So a very heartbreaking loss for Louisiana Lafayette. They were quietly becoming the new darlings of the game, but it is what it is. But anything can happen on any given day. So always remember that, friends. So that's really all there is to say on that. So with all that being said, let's dive into to the rest of the slate for this weekend. We have the first of 2 Friday night football games. Yes, we have 2 Friday night football games that have ranked teams, and it will be an ESPN doubleheader tomorrow night. And we're going to start it off with a game that will kick off at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN, first half of the doubleheader. The number 17 back in the polls once again, the SMU Mustangs, and they're going to be taking on the Green Wave of Tulane from Yulman Stadium in New Orleans. And with that, the game will be on ESPN, and on the call for that one, it will be, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe Jason Benetti's crew is working this game. Let me see. No, he's working the other game. I do apologize for that. It's been blurred out for some odd reason. Oh, here we go. Beth Mowins, Kirk Morrison, Lawrence Sisler. They will have that game tomorrow night. And I do believe the spread favored SMU by 6.5. And it was SMU favored by 6.5 to knock off Tulane. So with that being said, let's get started here, and let's start off this week 7 edition with a preview of SMU, number 17 SMU, and Tulane in New Orleans tomorrow night as part of a special Friday night ESPN doubleheader. Yep, 6.5 the spread. All right, here we go. I do apologize, a slow loading, my world. So here we go. Tulane has completed fewer than 50% of its passes in all 4 games this season, and it has allowed at least 299 passing yards and multiple passing touchdowns in 3 or 4 games played. That's a formula for disaster against Shane Buechele and an SMU offense averaging 44 points a game. The Green Wave won't be able to slow down the Mustangs, and they won't be able to move the ball well enough to make up for it. I have SMU winning this game 41-27. SMU knocks off Tulane, go to 5-0, maybe move up the ranks. We'll have to wait and see. So There's really nothing more to say. MF, SMU back in the poll, and we all know how dangerous they were last year. They might be just as much so again this year.
Very much so, and I totally agree with everything that you just said there, Anthony. I truly believe that SMU will definitely continue their hot streak, and I do believe that they will get the job done. So, yeah, SMU wins. I really got nothing more to add, so Michael Bullock, it's all yours.
Yeah, like you said, Tulane. I mean, their defense is definitely going to have a hard time going up against that SMU offense. Like you said, that's basically been, like you said, been averaging about 40 points a game, and yeah, I'm pretty sure the offense will. I mean, the offense will keep them in it for a little bit, but eventually SMU is definitely going to be just too much for Tulane to handle. So I got I got SMU winning this one. I'm going to go with that same score of 41-27. So let's move on, Florio.
And we move on to the second half of that Friday night doubleheader tomorrow night, which will emanate from John O'Quinn Field at TDECU Stadium in Houston, Texas. Approximately 9:30 kickoff. It will be the number, I believe it's 14. It'll be the number 14 BYU Cougars squaring off. The BYU Cougars squaring off against Houston. I think it's a battle of the Cougars here. Number 14 BYU squaring off against Houston. This is where Jason Benetti's crew will be working this game. It's Jason Benetti with Andre Ware and Chris Budden, and BYU opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. So MF, BYU against Houston. I think this is where BYU will finally get tested after all those blowouts this year.
Without a doubt, and this is where you got to put BYU on upset alert too. Houston's a really good team, especially at home. They've been spoilers for a number of teams in the last few years. So you'd never ever want to sleep on this team, no doubt about it. But I think BYU will get the job done. I think they'll figure it out, and I got BYU winning the game. This will be a high-scoring affair, but I do believe BYU will get the job done. 41-38, BYU wins. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
BYU is definitely gonna get tested for the first time this season, and Houston will definitely give them a test here. And Fletch said, I think this definitely could be a high scoring affair here. I mean, yeah, if you're looking for defense, I don't think this is the game that you're going to be seeing it. But Houston will definitely hang around throughout the game. But I think in the end, BYU will win this one. I'm going to go 41-38 is going to be my final score. I would not be surprised if Houston can somehow pull off this upset here. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
I'm with you. I'll make it unanimous. I mean, Houston needs to take much better care of the ball if it wants to pull off this upset. The Cougars turned the ball over 5 times in their season opener against Tulane, and it was their third 5-turnover game in their last 8 contests, dating back to October of last year. Meanwhile, Houston's defense has only forced multiple turnovers in 1 of its last 12 games. BYU's Zach Wilson-led offense has been surgical, scoring multiple passing touchdowns and multiple rushing touchdowns in all 4 games. I'm with you guys. I'm going to make it unanimous. BYU, they'll win it. I think Houston will give them fits for a good chunk of this game, but I think sometime in the 4th, I think BYU will pull away. So I'm going to go BYU with a slightly comfortable win. I'm going to say 42-25 BYU over Houston. So there's really nothing more to say about that. So while we endure this slow load, okay, here we go. Now let's get into the Saturday slate of games, and we got some good ones in our noon slot. And we're going to start it off with the number one team in all the land, the Clemson Tigers. High noon over on ABC, and they will be squaring off against the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech from Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field in Atlanta, Georgia. And Clemson, humongous favorite. But before I get into that, find who's working this game. If I remember correctly from the sheet, I do believe Bob Wischusen's crew was working this game. Let me double check. Yep, I was right. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Marty Smith. They will be on the call for that one. And Clemson, no surprise, humongous favorites to the tune of, I believe it was a 27.5-point spread for Clemson. 27.5. Is that what I have? Yes, 27.5-point spread for Clemson. No doubt about it. So Michael Bullock, I think we all know who's going to come out on top in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the number one team in the nation, Clemson, of course, obviously led by a guy who many think could be one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy, and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's going to be a tough day for this Georgia Tech defense. Sure. They're at home, but the thing is, it's the Clemson Tigers. They're the number one team in the nation. So I think this is going to be a long afternoon for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I got Clemson winning this one. I'm going to go 45-28. I'm going to go 45-21 as my final score. So, Florio, what's yours?
Yeah, Georgia Tech quietly has a little something brewing in Jeff Collins' second year as head coach. The Ramblin' Wreck had one of the worst offenses in the nation last season, falling short of 400 total yards in all 12 games. But they have eclipsed 400 yards in each game thus far. Of course, Miami was in the same boat before getting decimated by Clemson's defense last week. And Georgia Tech is substantially more turnover prone, 12 through 4 games, than Miami had been 3 in their first 3 games. Like most Clemson games, this will likely get ugly in a hurry. 49-13, Clemson all over Georgia Tech. So nothing more to say. MF, at least for this week, we all know how high you are on Clemson. You got nothing to worry about this week.
Yeah, and Clemson should dominate. They should get the job done. They should win this game pretty handily. Look, what you saw last week against Miami was an absolute clinic. That was the Clemson that we've known. That's the Clemson that we've seen for a number of years. Either being a national championship contender, being a national champion. Yeah, at the end of the day, that was a dominating performance over Miami, who at the time was really, a lot of people were wondering, has Miami been tested? Well, they went up against a major test and failed emphatically. So there's really nothing more to add. I think Clemson will continue their hot run, and they should win this game pretty handily. So, Florio, what's yours?
Yeah, 100% agree, MF. There's no doubt about it. Miami, they definitely failed miserably last Saturday night. And it's a damn shame, man, because we were all so excited about that game. We thought it was going to be a fun game. We thought it was going to be a potential 5-star with Shakespearean drama, but no. Nope, not on that night it wasn't. But we'll see. So nothing more to say on that one. Let's move on to our next high noon game, and ironically enough, I do believe, if my order is correct, if my numerical order is correct, I do believe it is those same Miami Hurricanes that we saw get steamrolled and manhandled by Clemson last Saturday night. I do apologize, folks. I mean, I do have all these things going on with the slowness here, and very frustrating, especially when you're doing a live show, But it is what it is, and we gotta unfortunately deal with these things. Um, and well, another game has been postponed. Apparently, number 8 Cincinnati, their game against Tulsa, has now been added to the postponed list for this week. LSU in Florida also on that list, and damn shame because LSU in Florida was going to be the clear number 2 game of the week, no doubt about it. But unfortunately, that's not going to be this time around. But anyways, I believe that takes our docket down a little bit, guys. So all right, now we have everything under control here. So 3, 6, 9. All right, so MF, real quick, that Cincinnati Tulsa game, is that officially confirmed? Is that officially on the COVID list?
I didn't see anything about it, but I do know that I believe I heard it's on the COVID list. Yes.
As is LSU in Florida and Oklahoma State and Baylor.
Yes.
So yeah, I do apologize for the delay, folks. I just want to be sure I have everything in the proper order here, so we can get cooking here. So, but yes, yep. All right, yep, there it is. I see it. Cincinnati and Tulsa. I mean, there's it is on the COVID list, and they have. I just found an article here saying that Cincinnati game postponed due to COVID cases in Cincinnati. So they're out. So all right. So that's all I needed to know. So let's move on to what would have been the next game. The number 13. It is the U. The number that what were they, 7 or 8 going into that game last week? They didn't take too big of a hit. They dropped down to number 13. The Miami Hurricanes. They're back at home at Hard Rock Stadium, and they're going to be hosting the Pittsburgh Panthers. This game will be at high noon over on the ACC network, where the U will be opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. And it'll be Chris Cotter with Mark Herzlich and Alex Chappell. And the U is opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. So I will take this one for a spin, guys. Apologies for the delay. So here we go. Now we got everything in order here. So here we go. Pittsburgh's defense was awesome for the first 3 weeks, but it has allowed at least 330 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns with no interceptions in each of its 2 recent losses. Not a great time to be drawing a De'Ara King-led Miami offense looking to let out some frustrations from a rough night against Clemson. The Panthers will make this competitive, but the Hurricanes should prevail. I got the U escaping this one. 31-23, the U knocks off Pittsburgh. And I think we can easily call this the number 2 game of the week based on all the other matchups here. So nothing more to say. MF, I mean, you're also a big U fan as well. And, I mean, we're all entitled to a stupid question once in a while. But my stupid question in this case is, for the U, what in the world went wrong last week?
I mean, look. You went up against Clemson, the best of the best. I mean, there's no excuses. They got the tires beat off them. I mean, it was you want to talk about under siege? That's what happened to the U. Now they got to bounce back. They got to turn it around. Good to be back home against Pittsburgh, and they're going to take it out on them. So I mean, there's really nothing more to add. So I think Miami will win it, and Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I basically got Miami winning as well. I think they learned that the hard way that they could not compete with Clemson, and they're definitely going to bounce back. And yeah, Pittsburgh's definitely they'll make a game of it, no doubt about it. But in the end, Miami will definitely bounce back. I'm going to go 34-27. The U bounces back and gets back on the right track. So, Florio, it's yours.
Man, I don't know what's going on with Pittsburgh, man. I mean, once upon a time, I was scared of them, and now I may not have to be scared of them when it comes to Notre Dame, when Notre Dame draws them sometime down the line. But nonetheless, let's move on here. Our next high noon game, this will be over on ESPN. The number 15 Auburn Tigers squaring off against the Gamecocks of South Carolina at in Columbia, of course. I forgot the name of this. Williams-Brice Stadium. That was it. It was on the tip of my tongue, but it's Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. You can find this game over on ESPN, and working that game will be, come on there. It will be Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Holly Rowe, and Auburn opening up as only a 3-point favorite. So I think there's nothing more to say based on that spread, MF. I mean, I think we might have to put Auburn on upset alert here.
Absolutely. And look, okay, Auburn, I'm going to be very blunt, and I'm going to be really honest with you, and Lizzie McCormick, forgive me for what I'm about to say. You should have lost to Arkansas. That was a screw job. That was a robbery. That was grand larceny in my mind. Arkansas got robbed a week ago in that game against Auburn, and there's no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. I totally agree with Stata Sorrell. She went off on social media and had every right to go off on social media. The SEC officials robbed Arkansas of that game. You're going up against South Carolina. In South Carolina, that's an upset waiting to happen. So, yeah, without a doubt, Anthony, that was robbery. I think South Carolina could win it. I honestly think they could. It's going to be interesting to see how the game goes. There's really nothing more to add. I wouldn't be shocked with the upset, but we'll see. It's gonna be fun. That's all I'm gonna say. So, Michael Bullock, I'll say Auburn wins, but I'm not convinced. I'm not high on it. So it's yours.
Well, let's just hope Lindsay McCormick wasn't listening to this, because she's probably going to stop listening to us, especially to you, Fletch, after the way you talked about her team. But I digress. So, yeah, I mean, but I do agree. I agree they should have lost that. They should have lost to Arkansas, and yeah, Stata Sorrell was really upset and has every right to be. But it is what it is. So I think based on what happened last week, I know you said Auburn's going to barely prevail. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to call for the upset. I got the Gamecocks of South Carolina upsetting Auburn in a close one. I'm going to go 27-24. South Carolina wins. Nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
So the age-old question of who do I agree with? Well, before I get into that, after a combined total of 130 rushing yards in the first two games against Kentucky and Georgia, Auburn finally started feeding freshman running back Tank Bigsby and racked up 259 rushing yards in a narrow, controversial victory over Arkansas. That's a major development in advance of a matchup with a solid South Carolina front seven. The Tigers will need to maintain that multi-dimensional approach on offense in order to win this road game. But the question is, who do I agree with? Do I go with MF and Auburn, or do I go with Bullock and the upset with South Carolina? I'm sorry, MF. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. I'm going with Michael Bullock and the upset. And get this, Bullock, I got the exact same score you do. 27-24. 24. South Carolina beats Auburn. And yes, I saw what Stata Sorrell, the beautiful Stata Sorrell, did on her Twitter, and yeah, she was very upset. But then
She
again,
was PO'd.
they say a woman is beautiful when she's angry, and well, folks, she was a knockout. That is, if you follow the young lady on Twitter, I mean, I've seen some of the things that she said, and yeah, she's been through a lot of heartbreak as an Arkansas fan. I mean, they haven't had many seasons in the sun lately, but it is what it is, and yeah, she simply said this. She basically said, as soon as I can get it here, she did say, yeah, there's, she said something. All right. She said, 100%. She said, apparently you can fumble the throw it backwards in football now. There's always some excuse, backward pass, spike, same thing. And then she said, instead, we are waking up the worst explanation for the worst call. Hogs 2-1 in my mind. And
she has every right to say that, because even in my mind, when I didn't get to see it until I saw my boy Van Pelt on ESPN, but when I saw it, oh my God, I almost blew a gasket. I was like, that is horrible what the referees just did. Horrible.
Yep. And she also went on to say, apparently you can then proceed to come out with the worst excuse for missing the worst call. Happy to see others see how flawed this call and review was. Sickening. And unfortunately, we are far too used to refs blowing it for us as Razorback fans. And then there was the statement, and she said, what a joke of an explanation. And hurry, quick, make up the worst excuse ever to top off the worst call ever. Very fitting. Why not just admit they called it wrong? So, yeah, needless to say, I mean, she was a very angry young lady and had every right to be. And darling, we sympathize with you. That's all there is to say on that. I mean, they definitely got robbed. That's all there is to say on that. So, but enough about that. Let's move on to our next game here. It's our final high noon game, and we're going to stay in the SEC, as this game will be on the SEC network. The number 18 Tennessee Volunteers, they're back at home at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, and they're going to be hosting the Kentucky Wildcats. And this will be over on the SEC network, as I said, and on the call for that one, it will be Tom Hart with Jordan Rogers and Cole Kubelik, and Tennessee opening up as a 5.5 point favorite. And who I think
I go.
Oh, MF does. You're right. Yep, MF started the last one. You're right. So Michael Bullock, you'll be starting it off here. Number 18, Tennessee. They're back at home at Neyland Stadium against Kentucky. Tennessee looks to bounce back after they got manhandled by Georgia last week.
Yeah, they're definitely looking to bounce back after what happened last week, and yeah, I basically see Tennessee bouncing back to win this game. I'm gonna say my final score is gonna be 38 to 27. So nothing more to say, Florio. I think Tennessee definitely will bounce back. What says you?
I say I'm right there with you. I mean, Tennessee has won 17 consecutive home games against Kentucky dating back to the mid-1980s. And each of the last 6 meetings in Knoxville were wins by double digits for the Volunteers. Look for Tennessee to bounce back from a brutal second half against Georgia to keep that trend going. The Wildcats finally got into the win column with a great defensive effort against Mississippi State, but it's hard to trust that offense on the road against an above-average defense. I'm going with Tennessee as well. I'm right there with you, Bullock. Well, we lost him. Hopefully we'll get him back in a moment. I got Tennessee winning this one as well. He's absolutely right. 27-14. Tennessee bounces back, knocks off Kentucky. So nothing more to say. MF, I mean, Tennessee, they hung with Georgia. They even led Georgia at the end of the first half. But then in the second half, it all went downhill and not in a good way. MF, are you there?
What happened to? What happened?
No, we got him.
Oh, okay.
I'm right here. Okay.
All right.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I'm okay. I just accidentally hit something.
Oh, that sucks when that happens.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yep.
So we're giving it to MF now. MF, your thoughts on Kentucky and Tennessee? I mean, like I said, Tennessee, they actually led Georgia at the half last week, but then in the second half, it all went downhill and not in a good way.
Yeah, no, Georgia kind of dropped the hammer on Tennessee, and there was nothing Tennessee could have done. They were done for on that night. Look, I'm going to say it like this. Tennessee will bounce back. They're going to win this game, but be careful with Kentucky, because normally Kentucky-Tennessee games get very temperamental. You got to kind of keep it within check, but I do believe Tennessee will get the job done. Plus, they're at Neyland Stadium at their home turf. They should win this game. So Tennessee wins. Florio, back to you.
And it's only fitting that I get to start off this next game because it's my team, baby. Oh yeah. My number 4, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, once again at home at Notre Dame Stadium, South Bend, Indiana. This time it's not going to be under the lights, as we will have our traditional 2:30 Saturday afternoon kickoff on NBC. You don't need a dirt sheet. You know who's working this one. Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, the beautiful Catherine Tappan. Notre Dame opening up as a 16.5-point favorite against Louisville. So there's nothing more to say on this except this. Remember in the preseason when we thought Louisville, which brought back all 5 of its top offensive weapons from a team that won 8 games in 2019, might be one of the top challengers to Clemson? Yeah, not so much. That was fun, wasn't it? The Cardinals are still respectable on offense, averaging 29 points and about 425 yards a game. However, they cannot stop much of anything on defense. Enter Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish, also in stark contrast to preseason expectations, might have the best rushing attack in the country. Just in the past 2 games against South Florida and Florida State alone, Kieran Williams and company have rushed. Listen to these numbers, guys. Kieran Williams and company have rushed for 634 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2 games. Unreal. Playing at home against Louisville's quote-unquote defense, Notre Dame will run at will. Notre Dame, I mean, I think Louisville might give them some fits early, but I think Notre Dame will eventually turn on the burners and they should win comfortably. So 45-24, Notre Dame knocks off Louisville, keeps their winning ways going. As of now, they would be one of the 4 playoff teams right now. So we'll see how that goes before the big one in a few weeks. So 45-24, Notre Dame. They should have no trouble with Louisville. So nothing more to say. MF, I mean, Notre Dame, top 4. They're right now they're right now one of the 4.
Yep.
Can they keep it going against Louisville, especially with Notre Dame's running game? You heard those numbers: 634 yards, 10 TDs in 2 games. What?
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna say it like this. I don't want to take an analogy out of the NFL, but I'm gonna do it like it. It feels like this is gonna be Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry, I gotta say it, but it seems like it. Notre Dame can run the football, run it at will like they're the Baltimore Ravens. And Louisville, dude, their defense plays like the New York Jets. do we honestly think what the outcome is going to be in this game? Notre Dame wins in a laugher. Nothing more to add. Yeah, it's all Michael Bullock is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, that running game for Notre Dame is really impressive. That's the reason why they're in the top four. And yeah, the defense, I agree with Fletch. I mean, they're like the New York Jets. I mean, they can't stop a damn thing. And it's going to, yeah, this is going to be an ultimate laugher. I got Notre Dame winning in a round, 59-14. This one's not even going to be close. The running game, I'm going to say it's going to go for 200. Maybe I would not be surprised if it goes for 300 yards rushing. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
300 yards, I wouldn't be surprised. No doubt about it. Especially with what they've done in the last two games, 634 yards, 10 TDs for that running game. Yowza. That's all I can say on that. And oh boy, am I encouraged as a Notre Dame fan to hear all this. So, but we still got a ways to go. Especially the big one in a few weeks. But, take it one game at a time, 1 week at a time, and, keep doing what we're doing. We should be fine. So hopefully we'll still be one of those four come crunch time. But nonetheless, let's get into our next matchup here. 4 o'clock kickoff over on ESPN. It'll be the number 11. Wow, they're number 11. This is the highest I've seen them in a long time, maybe ever. The Texas A&M Aggies. But they're going to be very much tested on the road against the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. And that will be at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. And you can find this one over on ESPN, and on the call for that one, that would be Dave Neal, DJ Shockley, and Dawn Davenport. They will have the call for that one. And Texas A&M opening up as I believe the spread is 5.5 in favor of A&M. 5. I stand corrected. It's a 5-point spread for Texas A&M. So nothing more to say. MF, we started with you here. Mississippi State, they had that big win against LSU, but they've crapped the bed the last 2 weeks. But Texas A&M, their biggest win probably since they beat Alabama in 2012 with Johnny Football.
Yeah, and now they're looking really good. I mean, look, A&M is starting to look like that team when they had Johnny Manziel. And this is the highest they've been since the Manziel era. So, I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. They're looking great. They're playing good. I think this will be an interesting matchup. It's not going to be an easy game. You could say maybe 2 touchdowns, but I got A&M winning. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Who are they playing, Florio? Who's Texas A&M playing?
They're playing at Mississippi State.
All right. Yeah, just wanted to clear that up. So, yeah, I mean, Texas A&M, I mean, they are looking good, and they are looking like that the team that once when they had Johnny Manziel as their quarterback. So, yeah, so I have them winning by at least a couple of touchdowns. I would say maybe 34-20. Yeah, so I think this would. Yeah, so Texas A&M is definitely a team you definitely got to keep an eye out in the SEC. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. Talk about two teams trending in opposite directions. Texas A&M went from helpless to move the ball against Vanderbilt to unstoppable against Florida in the span of 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Mississippi State went from 623 passing yards by quarterback KJ Costello against LSU to 2 points and 6 interceptions against Kentucky? Yeesh. But I expect the Bulldogs to bounce back against an A&M defense that has allowed 90 points over the past 2 weeks. And I also expect the Aggies to struggle a bit against the Bulldogs defense, holding opponents to 286 total yards per game thus far. Turnovers will be the difference, though. Mississippi State has already coughed up the ball at least 4 times in each game, and Texas A&M will capitalize. This is going to be a more entertaining game than people think. A&M narrowly wins this one. I'm going to say 34-28. Texas A&M narrowly escapes Starkville and Mississippi State. So nothing more to say here. We got 3 games left. Now, originally, friends, Oklahoma State and Baylor were scheduled to be the ABC Saturday night game of the week. But that game got pushed to the COVID postponed list, or I should say the postponed because of COVID list. So that game is out. We have a new ABC Saturday night game of the week, and it will be the number 5. Yes, you heard me right, folks. Number 5, North Carolina Tar Heels. And they are going to be squaring off against the Florida State Seminoles. I believe it's it's Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. And MF and I had a behind-the-scenes chat last night, and I told him, and I looked through all the announcers on my sheet, and I think this might be the only time I can ever seeing a Saturday announcer slate without Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. They're not calling this game. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge, Todd McShay, and Molly McGrath. They're going to be on the call for that one. And North Carolina opening up as a 13.5-point favorite. So Michael Bullock, I mean, when you think North Carolina at number 5 in a poll, you would think it's basketball. But no, they're number 5 in a football poll. Bullock, can you believe that? North Carolina, number 5? Wow.
Yeah, and what would you have told me, Florio, if you told me at the beginning of the season that North Carolina would be number 5 in the college football rankings?
If you, MF, or anybody told me North Carolina will be in the top 5 at some point during the college football season, I would have said, no. I would have said, in basketball, absolutely. But in football, hell no.
Yeah, because normally when you talk about them in the top 5, you're thinking basketball, but not the case here. And yeah, right now, I mean, North Carolina is looking like a really good team, and definitely could test for an ACC championship, and also to be in the conversation for the college football playoff. So, but we know they still got a long way to go, but I really like what I'm seeing from this team. So, yeah, I mean, I got North Carolina winning this one. I'm going to say 48-21. North Carolina wins this one. Yeah, it's just crazy, Florio, that this team's number 5 when it comes to football.
Anything can happen at any given time, friends. And I mean, I'm still in a state of shock. I mean, now Notre Dame has another threat. I mean, Clemson's bad enough, but we still have to deal with Carolina as well. And I believe that game will be in Chapel Hill. So I'm doubly scared. I mean, I thought I had to worry about Pittsburgh, but I'm not worried about Pitt anymore. I'm worried about these guys now. But anyways, like Oklahoma State, North Carolina's offense has come a long way in a short time since a rusty-looking start. The Tar Heels could barely move the ball for the first 3 quarters against Syracuse in their opener, but they annihilated Virginia Tech for 56 points last week. Expect more of the same against a Florida State defense that has allowed at least 40 points and more than 500 total yards in back-to-back games against FBS opponents, including Notre Dame last Saturday night. So, high-scoring game, but I think Carolina will win comfortably, 52-31. North Carolina over Florida State. So there's nothing more to say. MF, there's nothing left to say except how about them Tar Heels, man? Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about. But the thing is that what a lot of people don't know is that North Carolina has always been a middle of the road team. They never really had a team that could really make a run at the ACC title in in college football until now, because all their seniors really stayed. All their guys that they had, they didn't really lose that many guys to the NFL or anything else. A lot of guys bought into this system and decided, let's make a run at this. Let's see how we do it. Let's see how it goes. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, kaboom! Now you got them looking like a bunch of big names, looking like a bunch of champions, and you're like, oh my God, what on earth is going on? So, yeah, without a doubt, this is a big situation, big moment, and yeah, Carolina's going to win. I got nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
If my schedule serves me correctly, gentlemen, I think it's main event time. Oh, baby. Here we go. Ho, 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 ho. A special primetime edition of the SEC on CBS. The number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide at home against the number 3 Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl on the call. Alabama opening up as a 4-point favorite. Here we go, boys. Hands down the game of the week right here. There are 3 obvious, most important game of the 2020 college football regular season candidates. Ohio State at Penn State in 2 weeks on Halloween. Clemson at Notre Dame the week after that on November 7th. Same night as AEW Full Gear, by the way. Long night ahead of me, but it'll be worth it. And this massive clash between the SEC's only remaining undefeated teams. Alabama is averaging 51 points a game and has only punted 6 times all season, while Georgia's defense has forced 7 turnovers and allowed just 3 touchdowns through 3 games. Something's got to give. But the real battle here is Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett against the Crimson Tide defense that has gotten worse by the week. Georgia can't completely shut down Alabama's offense, but the Bulldogs should be able to outscore the Crimson Tide, just like LSU 46-41 and Auburn 48-45 did last year. I know I'm grasping for straws here, but let's go for a shakeup here. I'm calling for the upset. Georgia will sneak into Tuscaloosa and they will steal one. But then again, Nick Saban, of course, the big story, Nick Saban tested positive for COVID. And we all thought that the game was going to be in major jeopardy, but thankfully it's not. Nick Saban will be coaching the game from his home, and Steve Sarkisian will be handling the on-field coaching duties. So the game will still be played, and thank goodness, because without this game, this week absolutely sucks. So, but anyways, this is my story. I'm sticking to it. I know MF and Bullock are probably going to disagree with me. If I'm the lone wolf on this one, it's fine with me. I don't care. Georgia steals one, 42-37, and I'm going to give you a bonus prediction here, folks. I fully expect to see these two in a rematch in 2 months for the SEC championship. Period. And the statement and the quotation, 42-37, Georgia steals one. I know I'm wrong with MF and Bullock, but I don't give a damn. So I'm going for it. So nothing more to say. MF, this is truly what the words main event were meant for here, because this is right here, hands down, the main event. Brother, it don't get no bigger.
Okay, first off, I agree we'll see them in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. I agree with that. But you're absolutely wrong. No way is Bama gonna lose this game, especially after what happened to Nick Saban? No, Florio, you are absolutely dead wrong on this. I'm gonna go with Alabama to win the game. I agree, it's gonna be high scoring. I got 45 to 30. I got 45-41. But I think I think you're underestimating Alabama. And that's the thing. First half, they're going to be a little shaky. I'm going to give you that. I think Georgia will have the lead. But once it gets into the third and fourth quarter, and one thing that I've noticed is that Bama loves to get the ball last. They love to get the ball last and first in the second half. If they win that coin toss and get to defer, you're gonna see them try to push to try to get 2 scores, 2 touchdowns in that one score at the end of the half, the first score at the beginning of the half, and that will break the back on of Georgia, because Georgia will not have an answer for that. If they try to keep it hard, close, everything that you say, all right, I'll give you that, no doubt about it. But Bama at home is they're almost indestructible at home. Any other time, I would say, all right, I give you that, I agree. If this was in the hedges, Georgia wins, no doubt. But you're in Alabama, you're in Tuscaloosa, you're in Bryant-Denny Stadium. You're not giving that up. Nope, sorry. Bama wins, roll tie. Michael Bullock, break the tie on this one.
Oh boy. And I had the dubious honor of trying to break this tie. Who do I go with? Do I go with Florio? Or do I go with Fletch? I'm sorry, Florio. I gotta go with Fletch here. Roll Tide roll, and you know that the players, they're gonna be playing hard for their coach, knowing that he won't be around because, like you said, he did test positive for COVID. But I mean, Georgia will make it close and probably be in the lead at the beginning, but in the end, they'll definitely pull away from this one. It'll be a close one. I'm gonna go with the 45-41 score too. So yeah, Alabama wins. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours. Florio?
Slow computer, you know me. So, all right. That's all taken care of now. So, all right, gentlemen, final game of the night and the week. 8:00 game over on the ACC network. The number 23 Virginia Tech Hokies at home at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia. And they are going to be hosting the Eagles of Boston College. Yeah, big one for Bullock and his BC Eagles there. This game will be over on the ACC network and on the okay, I got it now. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck, and Katie George, they're the A team over on the ACC network. They will have this one. Virginia Tech opening up as a 13-point favorite. So MF, Boston College, Virginia Tech to close out the week.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with VOD Tech on this game. Even though I think Boston College will give them a game, I just think that Virginia Tech has too many horses, and they're going to win this game. So I'm sorry, Bullock. I know you love your BC Eagles. This will not be the night for your boys on Saturday. I do believe that Virginia Tech, the Hokies, will win this game. So it's all yours, my friend.
Yeah, I am a BC guy, but I'm with you, Fletch. I mean, Virginia Tech is just too good. I mean, BC will definitely give them some fits, but yeah, Virginia Tech will pull away at the end. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right. and I'll close this bad boy out by saying this. Virginia Tech quarterback Hendon Hooker had some undisclosed non-COVID-19 health issues to start the season. He finally got to play in the second half against North Carolina and picked up right where he left off last season, leading the Hokies to 31 points in 25 minutes. It wasn't enough for VT to get the win, but the Hokies feel like a much more dangerous team with him back. Boston College games always seem to come down to the wire, though the Eagles beat Texas State on a last-second field goal, missed a would-be game-tying two-point conversion in the final minute against North Carolina, and defeated Pittsburgh on a missed extra point in overtime. Let's see what fourth-quarter drama unfolds this week. Virginia Tech escapes, no doubt about this one. 30-24, Virginia Tech barely gets by Boston College. So there's really nothing more to say on that. So that will put the bow on this week 7 edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. And big news, folks. And it's news that I know Michael Bullock is going to be very happy to hear, and I know MF has already darted out for the night, but the Big Ten returns next week, and that makes our docket a little bigger next week. And looking at the slate we have for next week, I mean, some of the standout games, obviously, Alabama squaring off against Tennessee, Notre Dame squaring off against Pittsburgh. And that's really all I see here, unless there's some I'm missing. But we don't really see too many exciting games. But, well, Iowa State against Oklahoma State. I mean, that should be a good one as well. But those are really the standout games for next week. But the Big Ten does return next week. And Michigan will be on the ABC Saturday night game of the – actually, Michigan against Minnesota. Oh, big one to start it out. So, well, we'll see what the docket holds for next week's show.
Can't wait for that.
What's that?
Can't wait for that for Michigan and Minnesota.
ABC Saturday night game of the week next week.
I mean, just to have the Big Ten back, that's big.
I know, and they're going to be all over our docket next week. I mean, that game, you got Nebraska against Ohio State, Illinois against Wisconsin. What else is on?
But you know what me and Fletcher are looking forward to later on in the year when it comes to the Big Ten.
Michigan and Ohio State, of course.
Oh yeah,
little stocking stuffer before Christmas time. So there you go. So
boy, Merry Christmas to me. Woo.
NMF and to all the Michigan and Ohio State fans all around the world. So there's no doubt about that. And Penn State and Indiana as well. So, but nonetheless, Big Ten returns next week. They will be heavily featured on our docket next week on this program. So, all right. So let's set the table. Tomorrow night, we will be back with you for the Cerebral Smack Talk, Friday Night SmackDown, the season premiere of Friday Night SmackDown as they start year 2 on Fox. And, of course, the big news that came out today, the Yes Man himself, the leader of the Yes Movement, Daniel Bryan, is coming home.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
You being the leader of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, and me being the vice president of it.
Darn tootin'. And, of course, MF is the higher power because it's his show. So, but I know all of us are very happy. Dee Woodson was happy, and I know MF's got to be thrilled about it as well. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. A tag team title defense by the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. They're going to be defending against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and so much more. And, of course, the return of the Yes Man, Daniel Bryan. And so that'll all go down tomorrow night. We'll review it as part of the Cerebral Smack Talk, hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher over on his channel, Brace Fan 95. Saturday night, 10:30. Right back here on the Tone 25 for the Week 6 edition of NFL Saturday. Another topsy-turvy week. We got some big games on the docket. Of course, the two big ones. I think we have like 3 or 4 big games in the league this week. Of course, the Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs against my Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Los Angeles Rams against the San Francisco 49ers. Just some of the big games we'll get into on Saturday night. And then Monday night, right back here again for Ridiculously Raw as we review the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. And in a special Tony's Take, in addition to my reviews of Impact Wrestling and 205 Live, I, and maybe MF if he wants to as well, I mean, he's more than welcome, I will have my predictions for the Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory pay-per-view that goes down next Saturday night. Looking forward to that. And I'll have my predictions on that. And then Wednesday Night Mayhem, we'll get into NXT and AEW as we always do. And then from there, right back here next week for this show. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Braves Fan 95, this is Anthony Florio signing off for good old MF Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Michael Bullock here, along with good old MF Michael Fletcher, Dee Woodson, and FKG 401 Derek Ferreira, always and forever. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 7 edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25, on YouTube, and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.